Okay, so today we are going to start our Palo Alto firewall and we are going to enter into the actual curriculum of Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so we already have a demo, lot of demo in that, and right. So some of you guys are Saturday they are attending the session. Some of you guys already passed one 15 days before they attend the demo session, right? So and we had some lab setup session and all. So now, today only, we are starting our actual Palo Alto course curriculum, guys. Okay, so as we discussed in our demos and our previous session, right? So the sorry, guys. So this is your course curriculum. These are all the course curriculum. Okay, so we already discussed more about in that course curriculum. So since it's a day one of Palo Alto firewall, so we are going to start with platform and architecture. Okay. So this platform and architecture is a model one in your course curriculum. So it's going to be a 2 days. Okay. It will take 2 days of your session. Okay, 2 sessions. It will take 2 sessions to complete this platform and architecture, where you are going to learn about the next generation of, about the firewall. So this is the scratch. You are going to have some introduction about the firewall and types of the firewall and next generation firewall features. So this is the today's session. It's going to happen. Okay, so this topic I'm going to cover, and then tomorrow we are going to see about today we are going to discuss about some little bit about in a Palo Alto network in Palo Alto uh, portfolio. Okay, and then it's about the firewall. Okay, so first I'm going to start with basic introduction with the firewall and then next generation firewall, the difference between the traditional firewall and next generation firewall, and what is the uh, use case or what is the necessary to use your next generation firewall in a, uh, nowadays, right? So to protect your network. So that and all we are going to see today, and tomorrow we are going to discuss about the architecture of your Palo Alto firewall. Okay, pan OS overview. Under point pan was overview, we are going to discuss about the Palo Alto firewall architecture, and then how it is differ from the other firewall to Palo Alto, how it is differing, and how the Palo Alto can able to produce the maximum throughput from other firewalls, right? So that and all we are going to discuss. So the model one will be in 2 sessions. Okay. Yes, Yashpal, you already attended the sessions, right? So you are completed 14 it and all. So the session you can drop here. So no issues if you want, you can drop here. So it's going to be introduction about the firewall, and then I request you to attend the tomorrow session. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to give you the I'm going to entirely enter into the Palo Alto. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the architecture. So that is very important. If you miss that architecture, uh, you are going to, when you are saying to your interviewer, I'm worked in Palo Alto, your first question of, you will get a first question about Palo Alto architecture only. Okay, so I request you to attend tomorrow's session. Okay. If you want, you can leave today if, since it's already know these topics. Okay, so fine. Okay, guys, so let's enter into this session, platform and architecture. And in that, today we are going to discuss about the next generation firewall. Before going to the next generation firewall, so first you need to know what is firewall and what are the types of firewall we have, and what is the difference between the next generation firewall and other firewalls, and why we need to enter into the next generation firewall, why we need to use nowadays, why we need to use the next generation firewall. Okay, so before that I just want to ask some query with you guys. I mean, it's not like query, just we are going to interact with each other, so we are going to share our thoughts about the firewalls. Okay. So if you know, I mean, Can anyone tell me what is firewall? It's just like an interaction. That's it. It's not. I'm not asking Korean. Guys, any idea about firewall? What is mean by firewall? Used to control network traffic. Fine. Good, Rudresh. Others. Okay. So without delaying that, let me share my thoughts about firewall. Firewall is a security mechanism. It may it may be fights and it may be hardware, it may be software, it may be virtual machine, right? So firewall is a security mechanism which help us to control our control the our network flow or network traffic, control and monitor our network traffic. So firewall, it's a mechanism which can do control the traffic and monitor the traffic. So control the traffic means, so let's say you have one, let's say this is your infrastructure. So here, this is your switch, and sorry, this is your infrastructure. And forget about the firewall. Here, this is router. Let's assume this is an L3 device because which going you're going to communicate with the other network. So from LAN to WAN through over the internet, ISP you are going to communicate, right? So one network to another network, if you want to communicate, then you need a L3 device. So as of now, we are not placing router. I mean, sorry, we are not placing firewall. We are just placing on router, right? So in that scenario, what will happen? Your internal users, they are going to access the internet, and the external users also can able to access your internal services. So let's say there is one server here, web server, you are hosting some services. Okay, so they can also able to access your internal services, right? So in that case, your router it's giving a reachability between your internal network to external network, right? So this is the basic functionality of your L3 device. It will help us to communicate with one network to another network. So now what will happen because of that? It's going to allow all it, since it's providing the reachability, then there is no restriction. So now what will happen, your internal users, your employees can able to access the internet, and outside users also can able to access your internal resources. So now internal users, what they will do, if they know that we can able to access the internet, so they'll try to do anything whatever they want. So like while in a working hours, they will use the social networking applications, and they will try to download the movies, songs, that and all. Still in office environment, it's happening, right? So now what what will happen because of that? First reason, they are going to access the social networking application. So in a protection timing, they are not going to do their job first properly. Okay, so their productivity, right? The productivity loss, productivity less. It's going to happen. Productivity. It's not going to no more productivity. Okay, so if you don't have a no more productivity in your from your employees, your process are not going to happen. It might be your job might be anything, like you can give a support to the customers, like you may provide some services to the customers. So it may be a customer portal, or it may be technical tax support, right? It may be other services like any uh, you may have working with a soft product based companies, so you may develop some products, right? So you're develop, or else you are developing some applications, anything. So your process might be anything, right? So that product, if there is no productivity, then you are not going to complete your project on time, then you are not going to get up, your business is not going to get up proper in a, it's not going to be there in a proper way, right? So first, productivity loss it will happen. Second thing, since they are downloading the movies, they are downloading the games, a lot of things they are downloading from the internet, so bandwidth wastage. Okay, these two major things happen from when you are not restricting in your internal uses, okay, and your internal network use, right? And third option, bandwidth. First, bandwidth. Second is bandwidth wastage. Third, since they are allowing to access anything, so they are trying to download some files, software files, some videos, audios, and all over the internet. So we can't say that files are secured ones. Say that file might contain virus, malware, spyware, anything. So because of that, they are infected. They are our network is open to infect. Okay, so there is no more security. So anyone can download anything, and then anyone can access anything, right? Apart from these two issues. Third option, security threats. Okay, or security risk, because that they don't know that the file is infected, that virus or malware, spyware, that and all they're not going to know, right? So they're simply they we have internet connectivity, we are going to access them, we are going to download, or we are going to do some other activities. So unknowingly they are downloading some malware, spyware, and all. Because of that, your network internal devices, network, they may steal. The hacker may steal. They are going to use the vulnerabilities or spyware, malware to spying on us or to steal our internal information, right? So the sensitive information we may have about our project, right? So that and all they'll steal, right? So and they will try to sell out in dark web, or they will demand us they'll correct. I mean, they'll encrypt our entire network resources like your PCs, and they will demand you to provide the cost to decrypt your PC once again, suggest like that ransomware attack, right? So that and all going to happen. So there is a security risk. So that's the reason we need to control our traffic. If you're not control your traffic, it's about your internal user accessing the internet, and then since it's open to external users as well, there is no restriction. So since L3 device router is there, so anybody can able to router will provide the reachability from internal network to external network, so anybody can able to reach, right? So in that case, from the internet, one guy, he is an attacker, right? He can just he knows there is no more security products, so we have a reachability to their network. So simply they can able to enter into our network, and they can crash our website, our servers. So let's say we are running on, we are doing some e-commerce business, and we have our website. So in that case, the hacker, he is he's corrupted our server, or he is make shut down our server, or he makes slow down our server, right? Lot of possibility, he'll do DDoS attack, he'll do lot of attack is there, right? So to reduce your server's perform, or to reduce your server's responsibility, right? So in that case, users will not able to access your server if the hacker is bypass your server, and server will go down, right? So if server will go down, the normal user will not able to access your web server And if the user is access to your web server, then only they will try to purchase something, whatever we are selling it, right? So because of that, your external service also, your service also will be in a down state, so your business will not happen properly. And since we are running e-commerce site, there we are having more sensitive information about our clients. So there is the clients are storing their address detail, their phone number, their card details, right? So there are that are that are all more sensitive information. So if they steal that that particular sensitive information, and they will misuse the data, right? So that data, so they can steal the customers money by using credit cards, right? So if they know credit card CVV and then credit card number and all, it's enough. So in India only we have a OTP authentication and all. In other countries, right? So if you know uh, ca- credit card number, credit card CVV, that is fine to purchase anything. So, right? So, sorry guys. So that sensitive information and all, it's going to leak. So because of there is no security mechanisms. So we should not open we should not allow anybody try to access the internet, even though they are trusted people, which means our local land users, our internal users, or even though they are not trusted peoples, means we don't know who are all them, right? At least we know our internal users who are all, right? So they are going to be our employees, right? So even though they are not trusted people or untrusted people or known people or unknown people, the known resource or unknown resources, we need to we need to control the traffic, control your network flow. First these three reasons, we need to control the network flow. And and then to avoid the security risk is comes under the two reasons to control. The reason why we need to control the traffic, so internal user unknowingly download some malware, spyware, infected files, so that it will be corrupted. And so we need to control the traffic. And the same way, external users, if you're allowing the external users unknowingly or unnecessarily everyone to access your internal resources, they will uh, make a loophole to our network, and they will steal our information. They will shut down our servers, right? Slow down our server processes and all. They will not they will steal our information. So again, security risk is there, so we need to monitor the traffic. Why we need? So let me complete with control the traffic. Okay, so now I know my internal users and external users. I'm giving unknowingly unwanted services and also I'm not control anything. So now I'm going to control the traffic. Okay, by the help of device called firewall. I'm going to replace my router, and and I'm going to place the firewall here. So now by creating some rules, security policies, and by creating some security policies, I'm going to control the traffic. Okay, and so now whatever the service, whatever the traffic I need to allow for my internal users to complete their job, right? So that particular services only I'm going to allow from my internal to external network, right? So hereafter they are trying to access social networking, or hereafter they are trying to download some files and all. I don't want to allow them, so I'm going to restrict, so that I can able to do it by the help of controlling feature which is available in firewall. So how we can control the traffic? By the help of external security policies. Okay, so while creating that security policies, I can define what kind of service I'm going to allow, and what to whom I'm going to allow this particular services, and right. So that and all service and application, right? So everything I can have in my control. So by the help of security policy, and I can whatever I just want, right? to allow them for access to complete their job, right? So that only I'm going to allow. Previously, we simply allow everything. Now, since we have one device called firewall, so by the help of that device, by using security policies, we are going to control the traffic. So if you are control the traffic, then so they are not going to, in a working hours, they are not going to do the some other activities. So productivity will be increased. And then, so since we restricted the access, so they are not able to download unwanted files and other things, so we can reduce the security risk as well. Okay, and since we are having control on our network flow, so we know what all, and we can almost 80 percentage we can avoid the security risk. Okay, 80% we can avoid the security risk. Okay, so these when I control my traffic flows, when I control my network flow, right? So I can reduce 80 percentage of security risk, and other advantage, my productivity is increased, bandwidth utilization is reduced. Okay, so and security risk 80 percentages I can able to avoid. Okay, so that's the reason we need to control the traffic, guys. Then still, what is, and one more part, my firewall, again, my firewall can control the, sorry, monitor the traffic. Okay, so why we need to monitor the traffics? We already control the traffics and we know, so almost we, whatever the traffic we need, that only we are allowing it. Whatever the service we need, that only we are allowing it. Whatever the application we need, that only we are going to allow it. So then still why we need to monitor the traffic, right? So nowadays, let's talk about the monitoring. Okay, so again, now my internal users and my external users, I'm allowing the restricted access to, by the help of controlling features which is available in my firewall, by the help of security policies. Now, my internal users, I'm going to allow, in my company, I have one more employment department like sales. This is a technical department, and I have one more department, right? So that is sales department, and sales employees are connected, internally connected with our network. Okay, sales, marketing and sales team. Okay, to promote our product, let's say we are selling some products. Okay, that product might be anything. So to promote that product, to promote our product, they're going to access the social networking application and other sales activity application they need, right? So let's say they are trying to access the social networking application and all, so we are allowing them to access social networking application like Facebook, Twitter, and other other social networking applications. So now the traffic is controlled, and the social networking is allowed only for sales team and only for promote our product. So they can't able to work all the security, all the features of uh, so social networking application. So let's say if they are open the Facebook, and there also I have some micro control. Okay, so I can control my traffic in a Facebook application. I'm not going to allow access entire Facebook applications for my sales team, and whatever they need for promote that product, that services only, that application, micro application only, I'm going to allow it. So but still, if I'm allowing all the social networking application, my sales users, right? So the sales employee, they are started to promote the product. Okay, and then while using Facebook application, right? So let's say they got one sales lead, okay, and their sales, the user, one user he become a fake user. Okay, so he's trying to communicate with the sales team by via Facebook chit chat, and he's sending some file. Okay, so let's say that he's sending the PDF file or text file, anything. Okay, or image, just assume that image, he is not a proper user, he is not an actual user, he is an attacker. Okay, he is sending image, he is an attacker. He is sending through Facebook chit chat. He is sending an image but that image is not an actual image. It is, in fact, there is inside that image there is a malware or spyware which is going to affect our network. Okay, so in that virus, anything. Okay, he injected some malicious things inside that image file. So according to our sales employee, he is going to open that image file which user sent. Okay, so he thought this is going to be a sales lead, and we have to reply him properly. So he is going to do his job properly. But the thing is, he's not an actual user. He is an attacker, and he tried to bypass our network via your Facebook. He is just like a normal user. Okay, now he is going to send a malicious software, malicious applications, malicious image files inside that malicious code, spyware, malware, right? So virus, anything is there, just assume that. Okay, so now if according to the sales user, that is just an image. So he tried to open that image. As soon as he's opened that image, his PC, that image downloaded, after that downloaded image in that PC, your vulnerabilities, malware, spyware, or virus, anything will be automatically injected in this PC. And once that vulnerability is in, I mean, my malware is in injected in that PC, it is installed. Okay, so now it will start to malfunctioning. So now it will start to steal this PC's information, and whichever it is going to communicate with your internal resources as well. And that PC is also getting affected by this one malware. Okay, so your entire infrastructure will be infected, guys. Okay, so if you're not monitoring this traffic properly. Okay, so even though it is an allowed traffic and we have some control, and whatever we are needed, that traffic only allowed, but we can sure that that traffic is a secure traffic. So we need to monitor, even though it's an allowed traffic, that allowed incoming and outgoing traffic, we need to monitor. May it contain any vulnerability, spyware, malware, or the attacker is stealing the data leakage is happen or not. Okay, so sometimes he will attack and he is not going to do any harmful things, but he will try to steal your internal information. So about your project that may contain some sensitive information, just like user, your internal, your client's details, or your project details, like that. So we need to make sure, even though the traffic is allowed in a proper way, but the traffic, we need to make sure that is safest traffic, and there is no data leakage protection, data leakage. Okay, right? So that and all we need to make sure that we can able to make sure by the help of monitoring feature. Okay, so normal router will not able, by using normal router, you may control the traffic by the help of access list. Okay, that is also you can't able, partially only you can able to do it. You can't control all the traffic in a proper way. Okay, but monitoring, it's not possible by the way, control the traffic is possible by your Cisco, normal Cisco router, and then Juniper router and all, by the help of access control list. But that is also partially only we can able to do it. And but monitor, when it comes to the monitoring, it's not possible. They are not going to monitor your traffic. And we know what is the importance of monitoring the traffic. Even though the traffic is controlled, and even though the allowed, we necessary traffic only we allowed inside into our network, or right. So we need to monitor the traffic, guys. Okay, so that is the importance of monitoring process, so that we can get that activities we can done by your firewalls. Okay, and that firewalls called next generation firewalls. Okay, so next generation firewall only can able to monitor the traffic. Traditional firewalls just control the traffic. They can able to control the traffic, and there are uh, some drawback is there when you're using a traditional firewalls, so that we will discuss now. Okay, so now I hope you guys are having better idea about now firewall, what firewall is doing, why we need a firewall, and what is the main rules of your firewall. Okay, what are the functionality they are doing it, right? Clear, guys? Any doubts in this? Has any doubts or any clarification, further clarification you need about firewall? Okay. Okay, guys. Fine. So now we know what is the importance of firewall and what is the role of firewalls, right? So now we go to the history of firewalls. Okay. History of firewall implementation. So okay. So this firewall. So before implementing the firewall, so we know why we need to monitor that, sorry, control the traffic, that we know, right? So previously, okay, let's start with the firewall types of firewall then. Or you can say it's a history of firewall or types of firewall. We can go with the types of firewall. So this firewall, we can, I'm going to classify the firewall types in a two different aspect. Okay. The main classification, network firewall. Okay, end device protection, or you can just say antivirus. Antivirus, it's a partially firewalling. Whatever your firewall will do in a monitoring process, right? So that your antivirus will do. Okay. So instead of saying antivirus, endpoint protection, EPP, endpoint protection applications, so softwares. Okay. So and another classification, network firewall. Okay. So example for endpoint protection or sorry, before classifying this, we'll go with the based on the software hardware. Then we'll sorry. Then I'll come to the first classification. I'm going to say software firewall, hardware based firewall. Okay. So software firewall, example for software firewalls, your antivirus, any antivirus application like McAfee and then uh, K7, any antivirus, right? Which you are using to protect your endpoint devices, protect from the vulnerabilities. And then we have one more. This is it's just an antivirus application, but software firewall we have it. One more software firewall we are having it daily basis. We are using it, guys. So any idea, any example for software firewall? So apart from the antivirus applications, we have a dedicated one full-fledged file. And in antivirus can detect, it can monitor the traffic. Okay, so it will not block, it will block only the vulnerabilities spyware, but by the help of antivirus you can't you can't able to filter the traffic properly, you can't able to control the traffic properly, but you can able to monitor the traffic. Okay, so once the vulnerability is infected, I mean once your internal resources are infected from the vulnerabilities, then antivirus will scan that, and it will identify that, and it will remove that vulnerabilities. Okay, but it will not block the traffic, it will not control the traffic. But we have one more software based firewall, a full-fledged firewall. So antivirus, we cannot say it's a full-fledged firewall, but we have one more software firewall. Okay, so we are actually we are daily using on it. Can any idea, guys? What about that? Who are all using Windows operating system? You're using that app, antivirus. Sorry, that firewall. Now, can you tell me what is that firewall? Your Windows operating system has inbuilt firewall called Windows Defender. Okay, that is not just like an antivirus. That is a firewall. You can control the traffic as well, partially. It's you can't able to have a full-fledged active firewall functionality like network fire. I mean, like Palo to 14 like that. It's not possible, but still you can control the traffic. Okay, by the help of Windows Defender. This is an inbuilt Windows Defender. Okay, Windows Defender is the one of the example for software firewall, greatest example for software firewall. It's an inbuilt. Okay, and and when it comes to the hardware firewalls, again software firewalls, other virtual machine based firewalls, VM firewalls also comes under the software firewalls. This VM firewalls, it can act like a network firewalls. It's a full-fledged firewalls. Okay, so it will support this VM firewall. Support VM firewalls we are having with almost all the product like Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, all are having virtual machine firewalls. Okay, so that is also example for software firewalls, and because they don't have a dedicated hardware, they are running with your users hardware. Okay, so that is in a virtual machine firewall. So example for the Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, ASA, FTD, all are having VM firewalls. Okay, and when it comes to the hardware firewall, it's in a dedicated hardware plus this we software firewall. It's running with dedicated operating system, firewalling operating system. But when it comes to the hardware firewalls, they have a dedicated hardware plus their own operating system. Example for the hardware firewalls, again Palo to have their own hardware, right? And Fortinet, they have own hardware. Checkpoint, they have their own hardware with their operating system. So that is example for hardware firewalls. So the hardware firewalls and the difference between the software firewall and hardware firewall. Okay, so when if you go for a VM firewall, the operating system functionality is everything is same comparatively the hardware firewall and software firewall. When you use VM firewalls, I'm not talking about the antivirus and Windows Defender, just ignore it. I'm talking about the virtual machine firewall, okay, virtual firewall of each vendor product. Okay, so how they have a hardware physical firewalls, and just like that they have a virtual firewalls, and virtual firewalls running with only with the operating system. There is no dedicated hardware, and but hardware firewall they are having dedicated hardware plus their operating system. Okay, so functionality wise, 95 percentage of the processing the packet and all the features, almost every features will be supported by your hardware. There is no difference between the hardware firewall and virtual machine firewall. So implementing the security features, controlling the traffic, all other features have almost 98 percentage, sorry, 98 percentage functionality of your hardware firewall, what it will do, that your virtual firewall can do. VM firewall can do. Only thing is it doesn't have hardware. So hardware related functionality, it doesn't able to do that. Okay, so just like that, hardware acceleration, we call it as a in Palo Alto, we call it as a virtual system. Okay, if you have a physical dedicated Palo Alto hardware, and if you want to deploy that Palo Alto hardware, one single firewall, if you want to split logically multiple logical firewalls, when you have a hardware firewall, then only you can able to do it. Okay, but virtual machine firewall, it's already working with the logical firewall concepts only, so you cannot create multiple logical firewall when you have a virtual machine firewalls. Okay, but you when you have a hardware firewalls, even though if you have a hardware firewalls, you need a mid range of hardware. So basic level of hardware, it's not possible to achieve the virtual system. I mean logical. It's virtual system means you can relate with the VLAN. So how single physical LAN network we are logically splitting as a multiple VLAN. Just like that single hardware firewall, you can logically split as a multiple logical firewall, firewall 1, firewall 2, just like VLAN 1, VLAN 2, like that, firewall 1, firewall 2, and you can deploy with the different projects as well, different aspect. You can use it. So that is called VSys, and that you can able to do it when you have a hardware firewall, not virtual machine firewall. Because your virtual machine firewall already it's working under the VSys concept. Okay, so you cannot able to inside that basis you cannot create multiple bases. Okay, so that's the reason. That is the only difference between the hardware firewall and then VM firewall. Okay, but functionality, all the features, whatever the features you have in your hardware firewall, almost everything, it will not almost everything will be support except that vdom in a FortiGate, VSys in a firewall in Palo Alto. Okay, that features only it will not support, guys. Rest of the functionality, implementation, utilization, all is same. Okay, so that and all you can implement in a VM as well, all the features. Okay, okay, guys. So this is about the firewall types. Okay, about the based on the hardware and software basis, we are classifying the firewalls, and one more classification we can do it in your firewall basically. Okay, so that firewall by functionality wise I'm going to classify. So that is my previous classification. Now I'm going to classify my firewall based on the functionality, not hardware or software based. Okay, based on the functionality, again, endpoint protection, network firewall. Okay. So endpoint protection means we know all what is that. So your antivirus application, any antivirus, or else the better endpoint under endpoint protection. So software based, you can define your still you can define your Windows Defender. These two. So whatever the product we are going to learn, that is comes under the network firewall, which the Windows Defender and then antivirus can implement the security features, then can control and monitor the traffic sometimes, right, only with a single device, end device. But when you come to the network firewall, it is going to give a protection to your entire network infrastructure. It has capable to secure your entire network. It has capable to filter the traffic or control the traffic, and then it can able to monitor the traffic, and it can able to provide these endpoint protection features like antivirus, spyware, malware, and then application control. All this, it can able to do it for your entire network, not just like an endpoint protection. It can able to do it only one device. So if you get the any antivirus program, it can able to run, and you need to install with, let's say I have 100 LAN PCs. That endpoint protection I need to install on each my PCs, right? So, and it can work with that particular PC only. But when I have a network firewall, I no need to install each on my each endpoint devices. By single network firewall, I can protect my entire LAN resources in my 100 PCs or in servers, right? So it is common to all my network resources. And endpoint protection, once the in vulnerabilities are infected in your device, that then it will scan and it will remove that. But your network firewall, it will protect, it will not allow any intrusions, any attacker if try to sneak the data, right? Attacker traffic, it will try to prevent from here itself. It will not allow inside your network. Okay, so it is going to provide the security for your entire network. It's not going to allow network and protocol wise, it it can able to provide the security, but endpoint protection will provide the security only for that particular devices. Okay, so that is the main difference between the network firewall and endpoint protection features. Okay, so like antivirus or WDF. Okay, so just like that. So that is the main reason we are using the network firewall, because it can able to protect entire my network. So I don't need to install it on each and devices. Okay, so I can just deploy in the front of my network, right? So it can able to prevent us from the vulnerabilities, spyware, any attack, any threats, right? So so that is the beauty of network firewalls, and also that is the important of your network firewall. You can able to provide the security on your entire network basis. Okay, network protocol wise as well. But endpoint protection will not able to do it. It can able to do it application wise, but still once it is infected, once it is enter into the endpoint device, then only it can able to detect. But your network firewall, it can able to prevent that vulnerability in enter into the your network level. Okay, so whatever the product we are going to learn in this combo pack, or right, so everything, let's we are starting this batch with a palo alto, that is also network firewall, 40 gate checkpoint, all or whatever we are learning, right? FTD, ASA, all are network firewalls only. It can able to prevent the vulnerabilities, it can able to control the traffic from network level. Okay, okay, yes. So these are all the main classification. So this network, since we are going to start firewall to learn that firewall as a network firewall. So now this network firewall, I just want to classify further ways. Okay. So okay, this network firewall. Again, this network firewall you can just classify like software-based firewall, hardware-based firewall. Again, so you can start to remember, or you can just classify them from here itself also fine. Okay, so network firewall, we have a network firewalls. So network firewalls you can classify in two different ways. So software based firewall, hardware based firewall. And software based firewall, here you can say all virtual machine firewalls, VM firewalls you can mention as a software based firewall. And all the all the almost uh, top level vendors like Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, Cisco, right? All are having that virtual machine firewall as well. Okay, you don't need a dedicated hardware. You can just purchase the operating system, and if you have a hardware from in your side in your environment, I have a dedicated hardware in my environment. I don't want to purchase my firewall with a dedicated hardware because I have one hardware in my environment. I just want to use that hardware so that the cost will be differ from the virtual firewall and hardware firewall. Okay, so virtual firewall is going to have that particular vendor operating system only, but hardware firewall, hardware plus that operating system. Okay, so since I have already in my network, I in my environment, I have one server. I just want to deploy my. I need only operating system. So in that case, you can use that virtual firewall. Okay, so the cost will be different. That's it. Okay, comparatively, the virtual machine firewall is very less than hardware firewalls. Okay, so you don't need to spend a lot of money when you have a already when you have a hardware. Okay, but functionality implementation all are same. Okay, so fine. So this is your software based firewall and hardware based firewall. Again, I can classify all this example. Again, I can able to say all the vendor they are having hardware based firewall like Palo Alto, Forti, Checkpoint, anything. Okay, and this either the software based firewall or hardware based firewall by functionality wise, I can classify in further two ways. That is traditional firewall. Okay. So either it's in a software based firewall, I mean VM based firewall, or either it is in a hardware based firewall. Okay. So VM and hardware both are hardware based firewall, both are having same functionality. Okay. So that firewalls I can classify further traditional firewall, traditional firewall, and next generation firewall, NGFW firewall. And here also I can classify by the functionality wise traditional firewall and next generation firewall. Okay, so now what we are going to see, what is mean by traditional firewall, what is next gen, what is the difference between the traditional firewall and next generation firewall. Okay, so that we are going to see. So functionality wise, either it may be a hardware based firewall or software based firewall, right? Both are having, again, I'm going to classify traditional, next generation firewall. Okay, in between UTM features nowadays, next generation firewall have this UTM features, but previously when we have a traditional firewalls, we have some when you want to achieve the some modern day when you want to protect your environment from modern day threats. So we used that UTM features as well along with traditional firewall. So that is the reason I'm adding here in between the traditional firewall and next generation firewall. I'm just adding as a UTM features here. Okay. Or they sometimes they call it as a UTM firewall. Okay. So I'm adding under mid between the traditional firewall and next generation firewall, guys. Okay. So what is traditional firewall? Okay, so the traditional firewall, example of your traditional firewall, the traditional firewall still you can classify in a different way. packet filtering, or you can say stateless. And second option, stateful. Any idea about stateless or packet filtering or stateful? Guys, anyone? Any ideas, guys? What is stateless firewall? Sometimes they call it as a stateless firewall and stateful firewall. This traditional firewall, we have a two type of firewall. Okay, so stateless firewall, stateful firewall. Any idea? Okay, so this stateless firewall example, you can use your router. Still we can able to filter the traffic. I told you, right? So we can control the traffic based on your router by the help of access list, right? So router is the best example for stateless firewall. Normal Cisco router and Juniper router and all, it's the best example for stateless firewall. Okay, so the stateless firewall means, let's say they are filtering the traffic by the help of access list, right? So just draw one simple topology. This is my LAN and it is connected with my router and it is connected with the internet. Now system A want to access the Facebook FB server. The employee sitting in the system A, he want to access the Facebook. Now he is accessing that Facebook, and now I want to allow system A to access Facebook. I want to deny system B for Facebook access. So in that scenario, how I can control my traffic, guys? Let's say the Facebook having a destination IP 200.10. Your sources 100.10 and 100.20. So I want to allow 10.10 to access 200.10 Facebook. Okay, so which is using the web services, right? So 443, port number 443, HTTPS, right? And this is source number, this is a port number. So sorry, this is a destination IP, this is destination port number, and this is source. This source want to access Facebook, and this source I just want to deny Facebook. So in that scenario, now just forget about the denying that. Now I just want to allow Facebook one system A 10.10. Okay, and now he is accessing, and we have written one rule in my interface access list. Okay, we are creating one rule to allow 10.10 for HTTPS services to access. The destination is 200.10. So the rule is there. So now what will happen? Whenever my internal user initiate the traffic, and it will go to hit your router, and router will check for this traffic. Do we have any access list? Yes, we have access list. So it will start to execute that access list, and now he will go to reach Facebook server, and there he will just logged in, and he tried to download some video which is having 150 MB data, roughly. Okay, and he's trying to download some video. Now what will happen? Sorry, guys. While downloading that, the session is created. I mean, the traffic is allowed, and now he logged in and he tried to download the video. and that is along 150 MB, right? So that 150 MB data is tried to download as each it is one by one. It's split as a multiple IP packet. So what the by default the IP packet size is 1.5 MB. So what about 150 MB data? Almost one IP packet is 1.5 MB. 150 MB will 150 MB data will be converted as 100 IP packets. So these 100 IP packets will be splitted one by one, one, two, three, like that, up to 100 IP packets. So now while replay is going, right, so that time your firewall again what, so the acknowledgement for each and every packet it will go, right? So now what will happen, download or up, sorry, he is uploading that 150 MB data. Okay, he is uploading one video. So this 150 MB data, okay, so this 150 MB data is converted as a 100 IP packets. So now the packets are uploading, right? So while uploading that, it's again the packet will be reach your firewall, so router. Now it's in a packet filtering, packet switching firewall. Okay, so sorry, functionality of your router. So now what will happen? Each IP packet, it will check the access list. Do we have access list for that? Yes, we have access list. So what will happen? Each 100 IP packet, it is going to execute the ACL when once and once again and again. Like because each IP packet, what is the switch? Because it's in a packet switching. Stateless functionalities and a packet switching or packet filtering of firewall we have, that is router, right? So router will do, wow, for each IP packet it is going to execute the ACL again and again. So for this 100 IP packet, 100 times it will be execute the ACL. Because of that, what will happen, router is already having a lot of functionality like routing functions, and it's need to do NAT, and it's need to work with the VPN and all routing updates, right? And then it is filtering the traffic. So for 100, it's fine, we have single PC. In, let's assume you have 1,000 PCs. So or 1,000 requests, for different requests we are going with the each PCs, right? So one, let's say take example with the one request is going with each PC, so totally 1,000 requests. Okay, so what will happen? This is only one request, one traffic. It is almost 100 times executing the ACL. Let's say there is thousands of sessions, okay, thousands and thousands of sessions. What will happen? Each and every session, it is going to, for each and every IP packet, it's need to execute the ACL again and again and again and again. Okay, so because of that, what will happen? First issue, a router is already engaged with some other activities. So it is going to utilize more processing unit in your router. Okay. And then it's going to more consume more bandwidth. So due to heavy workload, there is a chance to crash your router. Okay. And apart from this issue, the major issue is still for a single request, for single session, we need to execute multiple ACLs multiple times. So it will make a latency. Okay, so this is the major issue when you have a stateless firewall or when you have a packet filtering device as you are having a firewall for control the traffic. Okay, so this is a major drawback. A lot of other drawback is also there, but this is the first major thing. And other, since it's a stateless packet filtering firewall, it will not support all UTM features like application control, a modern, it will not able to, it's not capable to detect the modern threats like antivirus, malware, spyware, and it is all, it will filter the traffic only layer 3 and layer 4 basis, since we are using access list, right? Okay, so layer 3 and layer 4 basis only. And but don't as of now we don't need to consider about the UTM features. The first major concern is it is executing the ACL again and again and again. Because of that, bandwidth wastage, processing, your processing unit consume more processing power. Okay, so that because of that crash will be happen. And if not have crashing and all, it's not happen also. You're obviously you're going to have you're going to face a latency. If you're facing latencies occur in your network, then your network uh, reachability it's not going to be in a proper way, so you're not going to get a good communication. Okay, so that is major impact. So to avoid that, right, to avoid that in a traditional firewalls, right, packets filtering firewall, they are initiating one more so since they are having this issue, they'll feed after that they are implementing one more feature called stateful. Okay, still using this packet filtering or stay, right, they're using ACL, still they are using ACL to filter the traffic, but this time they added one more feature called stateful. The reason they found that reason why the latency is happening, why the process is getting delay, so it's because of multiple time ACL execution. They found that it's because of multiple ACL execution, multiple time ACL execution. So to avoid that, they implemented one feature called stateful. So still they are using that same okay, and stateful inspection. They have found the stateful inspection, and now they are replacing instead of the packet filtering stateless firewalls. They are replacing one device, the router. Instead of router, they replaced one device called firewall. Okay, let me. They replaced one device called firewall. This time whatever the error, whatever the mistakes they have is there in a stateless, they are fixing it by the help of stateful option. Okay, but still they are using access list only to control the traffic. Okay, so now, but they are fixing that stateless issue. So what happens? So they found the each and every time, each and every IP packet, your device is executing the ACL. So because of there is no idea about the already authenticated, already executed ACL traffic. Okay, so now what they implemented called stateful or connection table. They call it as you can call. Okay, so you can say that stateful inspection or connection table. The new feature is connection table. Why they are executing the ACL again and again? They don't have any idea because they are packet filtering. So for each packet they are executing the ACL. Sorry guys. So by the help of connection table features, they implemented called stateful feature or connection table feature, right? So or session table, you can say it's a session table. So now what happens? Instead of executing the ACL again and again, once for a particular traffic we initiated the executed the ACL, then we have to skip the ACL execution so that we can avoid the latency. That is the solution for that issue. So they found that solution and they implemented the stateful feature. So now what happens? Again, the same user access the Facebook and access the uploading the 150 MB data. Again, the data is splitted as 100 IP packets. Now what will happen? This firewall device, to avoid the multiple ACL execution, what happens once the packet is hitting, right? So it will maintain the table. What is the source IP? What is the destination IP? What is the source port number? What is the destination port number? Okay, and what is the so after that it gives some unique ID called the session ID. Okay, now what happens? For the same traffic, right? The same particular source and destination. Now they have a record. What is source? What is destination? What is source port number? What is destination port number? All this, and along with that, it's included one session ID. Okay. So now what will happen? First, the same 100 packet, while going, that first packet is hitting, it will check what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, and for that ACL, it is matching the traffic. If it is matched, then before allow the traffic, it will create one table, one column, right? So in that column, it will note down what is source IP, what is destination IP, what is source port number, what is the, what kind of traffic is this, a reply traffic or request traffic. All those it is maintained in that table. Now what will happen? It will go that Facebook server. It will allow the traffic, right? And after acknowledgement and all, now it will check each and every IP packet. It will first it will check the source IP. Now it's not going to directly execute the ACL. For further IP, further packet, it will check what is the source. The source is 2.110.10. What is the destination? The 10 to 200.10. What is the destination port number? So that is 443. So already the session is executed. Okay, so we should not execute the ACL. So simply it will skip the ACL execution and it will allow the traffic. So now what happens? Until unless this user is completing the session, it's not for that particular session, it's not going to execute the ACL again. Okay, until unless user terminate this communication. Okay, so since it is maintaining that record, so whenever the particular source it saw, right, so it will allow the traffic. Okay, it will not execute the ACL again and again. So this is called connection table, guys, and this is called state. It is maintaining the connection state so that they are defining that feature called stateful, and they are defining that firewall type as a stateful firewall. Nowadays, all modern firewalls also stateful firewall. They are having this feature. They are working based on the basis of connection table or stateful state table information. Okay, so if you can see this, all next generation firewalls also stateful firewalls only, and traditional firewall, one of this traditional firewall having stateful firewall, that is example of stateful firewall is your Cisco ASA. ASA is, it's a traditional firewall, but it's a stateful firewall. And why they are saying that traditional firewall? Okay, so now it is fixed that issue. Unnecessary execution of ACL, it's fixed. So now latency is avoided. Okay, latency is not occur. Okay, so that is fixed. Then, but why still we are saying ASA is a traditional firewall? Okay, the reason, when I still my ASA firewall, I'm using ACL to filter the traffic, so I can able to filter the traffic. Like previously I'm using a stateless or packet filtering. Like I can able to filter the traffic layer 3 basis and layer 4 basis, which means IP address. So that might be source IP, destination IP, source network, and destination network. Okay, these four filters I can use it in a network layer, and L4 means transport layer. So I can use filter as port numbers, destination port number and protocol, either TCP or UDP. And in that, what is the port number? HTTP for what is the service, or you can say it's a service as well. Okay, so that you can able to filter the traffic like application control, sorry, web services, mail services, storage services, right? Uh, File transfer. So that services I can allow or deny. Okay, and I can filter the traffic based on the IP based and network based and protocol port number UDP, TCP, or services like HTTP, HTTPS, and DNS, DHCP, right? So these based on that I can filter the traffic. Okay, so now I'm going to I'm going to allow the same traffic. As of now, I'm going to discuss about the same traffic, same user and same traffic. System A allowed Facebook, and he tried to upload and download some videos. And while upload and download in the internet, right? So the first scenario, while discuss about the what is firewall and control the traffic and monitor the traffic, right? So we can discuss that scenario. So now the traffic is allowed, right? And with the proper source and destination. So I'm using L3 and L4 filters only. So IP address, source IP and destination IP, and the service 443. Okay. Now I want to allow the traffic. Sorry, I want to monitor the traffic. I'll control the traffic while monitoring my firewall. This traffic is in a secure traffic or not. The traffic is allowed. So he is downloading from the Facebook server or uploading some services in some video in a Facebook server. So that video, video or audio or any image files, that file may contain any vulnerabilities, virus, spyware, malware, threats, anything, right? In so that awareness, your firewall ASA doesn't have that awareness. It's not able to monitor. Okay, it's not able to monitor the traffic from the vulnerabilities, modern day threats. It's not aware about the modern day threats because your ASA have a visibility on the traffic only layer 3 and layer 7. If you want to look at the vulnerabilities and spyware, malware, and all, you need a layer 7 vul visibility application layer. You have some idea about the application layer, and you can able to filter the traffic on based on the application layer. So that is not possible in your traditional firewalls in your ASA. So that's the reason ASA firewall is still it is in a stateful firewall. They are classifying as a traditional firewall, guys, because your ASA firewall will not able to filter the traffic based on the layer 7 application level layer level. Okay, and it doesn't have some other, not only it's not able to filter the application layer traffic, and it doesn't aware about the modern threats. It doesn't have features like antivirus, spyware, malware, data leakage protection, application control, URL filter. If you want to block some services, if you want to block some website, and that feature is not there in your ASA. If you want to block some application specific Facebook application, inside that Facebook I want to block Facebook chat application, other Facebook services I want to allow. That is not possible in your ASA because it doesn't have any visibility on layer 7 application layer. Okay, so that is the drawback when you are using traditional ASA firewall, okay, as a firewall feature. Okay, so now since ASA is not having a application layer visibility, but still nowadays all modern threats are uh, more complex, and you for to identify that one modern threats you need application layer visibility, and then other features like to more and to enhance more feature in your network like URL filter, application control, user based authentication, and data leak. I don't want to leak. I want to secure my data in my infrastructure. I don't want to get data leakage issues and all. So I need a data leakage protection, and I want to block or allow some specific file, some specific applications, right? So that and all, it's not possible in your ASA firewall or any traditional firewall. So that is possible by the help of next generation firewalls only. Okay, so now we know what is the importance of next generation firewalls. Okay, so right guys, so your traditional firewall doesn't have application layer visibility. Because of that, it's not able to achieve modern features, modern threats. It not able to detect the modern vulnerabilities, modern threats and all. So that we need to switch over. It's not enough just having a control with layer 3 and layer 4 to achieve the more security in your infrastructure. Okay, so we need to go with the application layer filters as well. So that is not there in your ASA. So we need to replace, instead of ASA, we need to go for any next generation firewall to enhance your network security in a proper way, right? So we need to replace one more device, one more firewall, which is supporting all these features. Okay, and that firewall is called next generation firewall. And before next generation firewall, we have one more features like UTM features. It's not a firewall, dedicated devices, UTM features. So to control the vulnerability, spyware, malware, and all, we have a dedicated uh, features like IPS. the dedicated device for intrusion, to identify the intrusions at vulnerability attack, right? So let me rough this topology. So we know what is traditional firewall, right? And along in my existing network, guys, just 10 minutes. Okay, so we'll complete today's session. So this is my, let's say this is my ASA firewall. Okay, I know my ASA firewall will not able to filter the traffic. It can filter the traffic L3 and L4, but it's not able to filter the traffic layer 7. Okay, but unfortunately, I purchased it on my ASA firewall recently, and now to detect the modern threats, I need to more security mechanism in my environment. Okay, so I just want to cross check the I. I just want to identify. I just want to use uh, modern day threat prevention features like IPS. So there is a dedicated device called IPS which can able to do filter the which can able to do deep inspection to identify the intrusions and detect, and it will remove it can detect the intrusions and it can able to detect that. So that is vulnerability which is try to gain an unauthorized access. Okay, so that and all it can able to detect. And URL filtering still I want to achieve, application control I want to achieve, right? And then user authentication I want to achieve. So that and all we have a device UTM, each UTM features. Okay, so it's a functionality of your IPS. Okay, and URL filter, antivirus program, data leakage protection, right? So these are all the features. So before you implement next generation firewall, and if you have a traditional firewall in your environment, these are all the dedicated products you can purchase and you can use it for in your environment. IPS, web email security, web security, application control, right? So IPS and application control features, application firewall, dedicated application firewalls. Okay, so that and all you can implement. Since I have a traditional firewall, I want to achieve the all modern threads, next generation firewall features, I mean sorry, or I want to improve more security features in my environment. I want to detect other modern threats and all. So, but still I want to use my traditional firewall. You need to, in between your network, you need to bring your UTM feature devices. So like IPS and then application control feature device, WAF, application features, firewall. Okay, and then data leakage protection, right? So IPS can do almost data leakage protection, antivirus profile, right? And then for user authentication, all these devices, all these features are called UTM features. There is a dedicated devices for each features. Okay, so you need to integrate all this feature in your environment along with layer 3 and layer 4 filters. And application control will do L7 features, L7 filter, and your IPS will help you to detect the intrusions and antivirus functionalities and data leakage protection. Okay, that and all it can able to do that. So these feature dedicated processing, these features are called UTM features. Okay, you have to purchase separately dedicated device for IPS, dedicated device for application control, dedicated device for email security, web web security, right? So that device you need to add. And so that IDs you can deploy, IDs will not detect, I mean it can detect the vulnerabilities but it will not able to take any action. So if you, in this scenario, if you want to action, you need to deploy IPS only. If you want to detect the IDs, you can deploy in a outer line of your network. Okay, so our, as of now, our concern is we need to deploy, we need to add more security features in our network, since we have a traditional firewall which is not supporting the other features. Okay, so as of now, just forget about the next generation firewall. Before next generation firewall, and to achieve this application, to achieve and to detect the modern world threats, they have these features called UTM features like IPS, application control, antivirus program, data leakage protection. They have a dedicated devices. Okay, so that devices you need to add inside your network to achieve the security features. Okay, all these security features, and because of that, what happens? So the, let's say, system A try to access the internet and to detect the vulnerabilities, and also he's trying to download some file in the internet. While downloading that, I need to identify that file is contain any malware or spyware, or it is safer file or not. Okay, so in that case I need to do deep inspection. For that I need a IPS, and also the traffic is allowed or not, that I need to make sure L3 L4 filters, and I need to make sure L7 filters and all. So it will not happen by a single device. So now what will happen? It will go from system A to your device IP. So let's say while initiate the traffic. So the traffic is passing through your firewall, and it will allow that. And now getting reply, while getting reply, it's need to check. So whether I need to allow this application or not. Okay. So let's say that application is allowed. So you need L3, L4 filters are executed by your ASA, and L7 filters are executed by your WAF application control. To do deep inspection, your IPS will do that. And for data leakage protection, antivirus data leakage, right, and intrusion, your IPS will do that. Okay, but application control, your WAF application firewalls that will do that. Okay, so that same traffic, it will process, it's need to process each and every devices. ASA will do process this traffic one time for L3 and L4 filters, and for L7 filters your application firewall will do that, process that same traffic. For intrusions prevention and data leakage protection, your IPs will do that same device. It will do the same packet, it will do one more time, it will process that traffic, and everything is fine. Then only it will go to your, it will go to the respective source as a reply. And also just like that, for it's not only for reply, it will go for a request packet as well, to detect the, to achieve the data leakage protection, and to filter the L7 application, and to filter the L3 and L4, and NAT and VPN, everything is going to be done here. Okay, so the same traffic need to cross multiple devices, and you, it's, forget about the latency. To achieve the modern threats, to avoid your network, sorry, to enhance your network feature, you need to deploy additionally 2 3 devices. Okay, and it is taking the cost. You need to purchase one more 2 3 devices unnecessarily, you need to purchase it. And it's not about just purchasing cost. To manage these devices you need a manpower you need, and resources to, you need a space to deploy these devices, and other resources you need bandwidth, and then electricity and other maintenance activities, right? Lot of things you need to you need to use, you need to achieve more security features in your environment. Okay, and that's in and that particular time. Okay, so when you have a traditional firewall and still you want to achieve the all, you need to achieve more security features in your network, you need to deploy these devices, these, along with these features, these devices called UTM devices, or UTM features. Okay, so it's very difficult to manage. Sometimes it will like, since the same traffic need to process multiple times with the different devices. So again, sometimes it's not suitable for big environment. Okay, so it will make a latency again, right? So so, and it's maintenance wise, it's costly, and manpower needed, more manpower needed, right, more resources needed. So, and it's not suitable for enterprise network. Okay, the UTM features, when you deploy inside your network, a different device as a different devices, that is not suitable for your infrastructure, guys. Okay, big infrastructure. So to avoid that, they have implemented one more device along with UTM. We need L3 filter, L4 filter, L7 filter, and IPS application, antivirus features, and then data leakage protection, and then file blocking. All that features we need, but we need to work together, and we need to have process as soon as possible, and we need to avoid the latency, right? And we need to enhance properly, right? So to avoid the drawback whatever we have when we are using a dedicated, well, especially the more first reason, UTM feature is not support the enterprise big network infrastructure. Okay, so to avoid that, they have implemented one more device called next generation firewall. So why should I need to deploy multiple devices inside that? I have my single firewall can have capable to do all this functionality. Okay, that firewall is called next generation firewall. I no need to deploy multiple devices. Why should I still I need to be there in my traditional firewalls? Okay, I need to replace one more device called next generation firewalls. Let's talk about the Palo Alto here. Okay, and now Palo Alto can able to filter the traffic by L3, L4, and L7. And along with that, Palo Alto will support all UTM features like application control, URL filter, file blocking, data leakage protection, and then along with that, it is giving 0 day threat prevention. Okay, so it's more even UTM feature. It is supporting all UTM feature. Along with that, it's giving a one more enhanced feature called 0 day threat defense threat features. Okay, so that I'll let you know what is 0 day threat prevention. And in Palo Alto, we call it as a wildfire. That option called wildfire. That feature is called wildfire. Okay. So what is wildfire? How it is working? That we will discuss deeply in upcoming sessions. Okay. How 0 day threat preventions are working, that working principle and all we will discuss. Okay, so when you have this next generation firewall, you no need to deploy multiple devices, so you can reduce the resource utilization like electricity, space, and then manpower. Okay, along with that, I can use all UTM features, whatever we have it, and I can filter the traffic from network layer to application layer, and then I can use UTM features. And this time it will suitable for big enterprise net. This device is suitable for big enterprise network, so I'll get a proper output, and I'm not going to have latency and less. Okay, so it depends on the scenario where you're working. Okay, so yeah, I'm I didn't say like latency will not occur when you have a palo. Sorry, when you have an next generation firewall, it's totally depends on your network flow, but unnecessary latencies we can avoid. Okay, and along with that, 0 day threat prevention features we have. Okay, so that it's not only Palo Alto firewall, all next generation firewall have that features, and this is working based on the stateful inspection. All next generation firewall will use the stateful inspection. Okay, and along with that, you can able to control the traffic from layer 3 to layer 7, and along with that, it will support the all UTM features, and along with that, it will have an awesome feature called the 0 day threat prevention features. It's advanced threat analysis technology. Okay, which can provide more security features, or which by the help of this feature we can enhance our infrastructure in a more efficient way. Okay guys, so that is the beauty of next generation firewall guys. So that's the reason now we need to migrate, and we need to use, still we need to go with the next generation firewall. Okay, clear guys. Any doubts in this scenario? What is next generation firewall? What are the types of firewalls we have, and what is why we need to why we need to switch over to stateless to stateful, and stateful to I mean packet switching to traditional stateful, and from traditional stateful firewall to next generation stateful firewalls. Why we need to switch over? All is fine, right, guys? Having you, I hope you guys are having clear idea about the firewalls and firewall features, and why we need to migrate from the traditional to next generation firewall. Any doubts in this? Thank you, Ted. Thanks for your feedback. Any queries, guys? Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you, Rudesh. Okay, so from actually this is about introduction about your firewalls. Okay, so from today onwards, we are properly enter into the so okay. Yeah, sure, sure. I'll know. I'll share it. Okay. Properly, we are going to enter into the actual Palo Alto. So this is before enter into the Palo Alto learning. This is just like a warm up, guys. Even images are uploaded. Okay, so just share. I will share the link. Okay, I'll share the link and give a request, and I'll give you the access. Okay, to download the to set up your lab setups. Today you will get it. 11 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, you will get the link. Ashok, you can just give a link request from your registered email ID. Okay, so no need to place your email ID here. In our WhatsApp community group, I share the link, and you guys can give a request from that link. I'll accept. I'll allow you guys. Okay, guys, that's it today. And sorry for the long session. We'll meet tomorrow. Okay, take care. Bye bye.